Well, now we get to talk about something I've been so excited to get into this week, and there are a million different questions that I have here. But let's talk about lesbian porn. Let's talk about the straight folks in lesbian porn. Let's talk about the male gaze in lesbian porn. I mean, there is so much to cover here, but I guess I want to start by just telling y'all very briefly that I told my partner about this episode that was coming up, and my partner is at least nominally very straight and doesn't generally have an interest in women. But we talked a little bit about how lesbian porn definitely works for her, but only like 5 to 10% of the time. And I was kind of like asking her questions and trying to draw that out of her. Like, well, why? Like, how do you know? And what's the difference? And we very quickly came to recognize that, quote, lesbian porn doesn't really do anything for her. But if we can find like queer lesbian porn, or if we can find, you know, something from a like more ethically responsible studio, or these kinds of things, there's like a meaningful difference. And I would love for the two of you to kind of walk us outsiders into what's going on here. Like, why is something that I might see on Brazzers different from what I might see from Sinn Studios when it comes to like girl on girl content?
Yeah. So, okay. Oh gosh. Yeah, that's a lot. But well, we can start. Yes, very loaded. But we can start with the idea that, so I would say, I feel like I could venture to say, and Amberly, you can check me on this if I'm wrong, but I'd say most women, most women who do end up getting into the porn industry to perform are at the very least bisexual. That certainly does not mean all. There's plenty of girls in the business who, you know, you get an agent, and the agent books you for girl gigs, and you do them because it's money in your pocket and you can do it. And usually, you know, I'll say you can tell because it tends to be more finger stuff and less mouth on vagina stuff. Or, you know, there's a strap on, but you're watching them both and you're just like, this seems so wrong for some reason. And I can't figure out why.
Don't know how to use it because she doesn't know how to use it. It is my biggest gripe. Do not use the strap on if you've, I will shut up. High corner.
Yeah, no, if you can't, well, this is something too. Yeah, with a company like, and I had a little chuckle, Christy, when you said Brazzers, because it was a very cute way of pronouncing it. But for example, when Brazzers has, you know, they'll just hire two girls to do a scene or whatever, and then they just hand them a strap on and say, okay, one of you put this on, and you know, there's not a lot of thought put into it and that is 100% a scene that is being shot for the male gaze. Again, you know, I've been in some scenes where it was very directed, and they're like, we need to get some penetration and we have to see it in this way, so you're gonna have to put your fingers in her like this, and I'm just like, why are you telling me how to have sex? Like, I know what I'm doing. And but they need this, you know. They need this thing.
You're a documentarian. I'm gonna have the sex you just documented.
Yes, and I'm very blessed because that's 98% of my experience in this business is that, like, yes, they just document me doing what I do, and but for that stuff, it's very, very frustrating for me when I'm being directed like that, when I'm being directed for the male gaze. And I've kind of come to term that as being like, that is girl porn. Mm-hmm. And I feel like girl porn and lesbian porn are two different things.
I was going to point that out, but you know, she read my notes before I showed up.
Well, no, we're just in sync in that. Because so now when we're talking about, you know, the ethics or whatever, I mean, I feel like, you know, you can't always, as a producer, choose a model and you're like, we know for sure that this model likes to be with girls. So, you know, just the logistics of porn don't necessarily allow for that.
Hmm.
But when it comes to authentic lesbian expression, I mean, I think that you kind of have to go searching for it a little bit more, because I don't even watch porn, because I've tried putting stuff on, and whether it's straight porn or girl lesbian, whatever, I'm usually just kind of disappointed with what I'm seeing. And so I'll just like put on my porn and I'm like, yeah, this is basically what I'm looking for. But yeah, so I just, I don't know, Amberly, you talk now.
Sorry, I sneezed. Yeah, no, I how to explain. I don't want to say male gaze, not that I'm trying to correct you at all.
Sure.
You said what you said. But I call it porn narratives, where we've had porn that looks like this. We've had porn that looks in this box. I guess we could say heteronormative for so long, and it's developed a formula. In fact, most porn writers will tell you the same thing, that you're just, they give you the formula and you just write around that formula. And with that being true, things like, for example, when they cast for normal, what when I say normal movies, like vanilla movies, non-pornographic movies, we look at for chemistry, like this is a really good actor, this actor would be really good in this space, but this is the other actor, like how would their chemistry work out? And what I like about lesbian porn is that's usually factored in. Usually when I look at a really hot lesbian porn movie and I talk to the two actresses that were in it, they're like, I researched the other person before I showed up. I knew what type of stuff that they did. I knew the type of styles that they worked with. I talked with them about what type of toys they're bringing. I talked about what type of toys I'm bringing. They like, without production involved, they have these conversations, whereas with girl type, the in the box, the in heteronormative,
yeah,
the in the
I
box,
like that.
In
yes, the box. Yeah, it's a good analogy.
Lesbians. So yeah, the in the box porn, that doesn't tend to happen. It tends to be, you do know who's going to be on set, but there's not a lot of collaboration. Chemistry is not something that's factored in. And I think that's where we kind of lose that stilted loss. Because even with a bunch of direction, I've seen some scenes where they just got lucky. Like anything with Angela White in it, that she will figure out how to add some steam to something. She's just, but that is a very,
that's what I keep hearing. And I still haven't worked with her, and people ask me all the time, and I'm like, I don't know why we haven't yet.
I'm willing to fund
I want
this.
Let's make it happen.
I'm willing to fund this.
Let's make it happen.
Do I get the director's cut?
Of course.
Good finder's fee, something.
Yeah, it'll be. We'll make you a custom video. There you go.
Oh. There you go.
Exactly. That's what I've always wanted. But yeah.
And I think it's really interesting, Christy, how you're talking about, straight women watching lesbian porn. And there was this Cosmo online article written, and now it was years ago now, but of course I saved it because my name was mentioned in it. But it's called The Straight Girl Appeal of Girl Porn. And there are just so many reasons why that might get a woman who would never in real life be interested in making out with a girl or eating her pussy or doing any of the things lesbians do, but she can watch two women do it on screen. And if they're, genuinely being authentic and really into each other, then they're getting something else out of it. First of all, I think even straight women will agree that looking at women's bodies is a very pleasing thing to do. But aside from that, me too, but the other thing is that, oftentimes, not always, but oftentimes in hetero porn and boy girl porn, it's very much about the man's pleasure kind of like how hard can he pound her kind of a thing, and not how good can he make her feel. It's, you know, as far as what you're watching on the camera, on the video. And when it comes to lesbian scenes, it's never that. It's kind of like, can I make her feel good? And then she's going to make me feel good. And then I'm going to make her feel good again. And then making her feel good makes me feel good. So I'm going to make her feel good even more. And that's the sort of energy that you're seeing in a lesbian porn scene, and how that's different from like a boy-girl porn scene. And so I think a lot of women, you know, again, maybe not in real life would they ever want to do it, but to be able to put themselves into either of the women's bodies and feel pleasure. Whereas if you're watching a boy-girl scene and you put yourself in the women's body, you're kind of like, oh shit, I'm just getting the shit pounded out of me right now. And it's like, it feels good, but it also
notion
kind of
of female pleasure.
And
I mean, that's something that is generally lacking from a lot of mainstream porn. It does kind of beg the question, like, how should we feel about so much supposedly lesbian content, whether we're calling that lesbian or girl or whatever else, taking this thing that exists, which is women that love or have sex with women, and then packaging it for men? Is that a commodity that we are like comfortable with producing? Is it something that we should be concerned about consuming? I mean, what are the ethics here?
Another loaded
yeah,
question.
for sure. I mean, I definitely don't expect either of you to have
I love it.
answer, but I would just love to know what your thoughts are here. I
love it. Well, okay, so for me, again, you know, we're talking about being biased. Like, I am definitely going to have a biased answer to that.
Sure. Yeah, please.
Because I am a woman who loves women, and I am a queer person, and I am also a content creator. So I am commodifying that shit, and I also am the commodity. So but at the same time, like, I feel like the sort of lesbian porn that I put out into the world is really important, because I think that people who are like me, people who are like the people that I fuck, like, I want them to see themselves represented in these spaces, and to know that, like, that, you know, it's okay. Like, that's a big one.
Sure. Yeah.
But also, you know, like, so many times I do encounter like lesbians who are just like, oh, fuck no, I don't watch porn for all these reasons, and because it's bad, and it's the male gaze, and it's always fake, and yada yada. And I want them to find my stuff. And there are other you know, performers in the industry who are like me, who genuine and passionate and really do love being with women and stuff like that. But it's so a little nugget that you have to like dig through the Pornhub, you know, archives to try to find that stuff. Like, if you type lesbian into Pornhub, maybe all this other shit comes up before me. Because I've never done boy-girl porn. And like, I do it with my husband now, but he's the only one that I do it with. And prior to us meeting, yeah, and on my OnlyFans.
No idea.
Yes, there's some of that on there for sure. But so the idea just being that, like, I don't want lesbians to be excluded from enjoying porn if that's something that they want. I want them to be able to find stuff like my stuff, and I want them to be able to find like Courtney Trouble's stuff, and I want queer people to see, you know, me working with trans women, me working with plus size women, you know, and others too. Like, I don't want to be the only one, you know, and I'm not. I want this more diversity, and, you know, yay Pride Month. Yeah. So I'm so stoked, and I feel really blessed to be able to do this during Pride Month as well, because
was that planned?
Yeah, I mean, no question. Like, this is a pride issue. This is a issue of how are we treating queer women that work in porn? How are we treating queer women as a society when we are furthering this narrative of women who have sex with each other kind of only do it for male enjoyment, or that's the model. That's the story that gets out in so many ways.
I've never said this before to anybody, much less than Sage herself. She changed my fucking opinion on porn. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding.
All right, well, I want to document this for posterity. Please go on.
Oh, only for posterity. Only.
Right.
But no, seriously, since Sage changed it for me, I was used to the box view of porn. I was used to the browsers. I was used to the pairing of people who may not even be into women. Again, because as Sinn said, not all that enter porn are bi or even bi-curious. Like a lot are gay for pay, which no shame. Gay
for pay.
Gay for pay. Wow.
Gay for pay.
And no shame for that. Get your bag. I'm on it. You're fine. It's good. I support you. But I forget which video it was, but it was one of your videos from your studio that I was like, this, what is this? And I think the difference, I think the difference was watching people who actually enjoyed it, watching people do it. And like, have you ever watched editing and been like, that's a jump cut? Why she only got one sock on, because a minute ago she had two on. Even in porn, I'm a continuity crazy psycho.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, so you guys took a break and now you're back at it. Like seeing those continuous shots, like they're actually in it and going. I don't mind a jump cut, but a jump cut because we cut some of this out versus we took 10 minutes off to redo the lighting or whatever. The energy flow stops. That's what I think it is. Yeah.
Sometimes that does happen just because whatever, like, I don't know, someone farted or something, but but I know what you mean, where it's like, it almost like you can see that there was some direction that happened and it cut off that you were watching the energy flow and then it cut that off.
But like, even if they're we're going to use the farting because that happens a lot. Like bodies do what bodies do. Like if it's more something styled like yours, then again, it feels to me, and again, exceptionally biased, like to the point where when I tell people that my wife was trans, when I met my wife, she did not have the words trans. So to me, I was like, I'm attracted to a boy. This is weird. I don't like boys like at all, but you're really cute. So I had like an existential crisis being like, I think I'm bi and I don't want to be. And when she came out as trans, I was like, I knew it.
You're like, this makes sense. Now it makes sense.
Honestly, did. I was like,
shit.
Exactly. Called that exactly. So, like, again, like card carrying lesbian.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, like, again, I can see some jump cuts here and there, but it feels like you're able to get back into energy because you would genuinely enjoy what you're doing versus I'm doing a job and I'm doing the best performance I possibly can, which is, I'm not trying to diss on their performance at all, but I do think that there's a difference. I also think that there's a huge difference when your production team also understands the heteronormative box. And and
I will say I'm very blessed and lucky that, you know, my husband is the one who is he and I are the production team. And so, you know, we've been together for 10 years. He's really been on this journey with me. And as far as, you know, producing my own content and stuff, and he's always been my cameraman. And you know, when I met him, he didn't understand gayness at all. And now he's just like, oh yeah, I'm in a queer relationship, and like we were trans women and all this, you know what I mean? So it's like watching his journey and how it's tied to my journey. And, but the fact that he does understand me, and he understands my desire and my sexual desire in that way. And so I personally feel, and have been told from fans and customers, the same thing, that like he captures me in this authentic way as well, just by the way that he shoots camera. And so I think that that is an important, to have that production team behind you that totally gets what you're going for, and you know, helps you to create that thing.
No, 100%. We also have a comment in the YouTube. I'm watching YouTube chat as we're doing this because I'm narcissistic.
I love it. No, me too.
We can't be entertainers without having a smidge.
You have to. You have to.
The X-Files says it was amateur lesbian porn that changed the game. The X-Files told us this.
Of course, I'm obsessed with the X-Files, so that's really awesome.
It was amateur lesbian porn that changed the game for me. You could tell they were enjoying it by what they're doing, and I think that is chef's kiss. I think that's the important thing. But to answer the question, Christy, whether or not it's ethical, I think that I don't like to judge entertainment. If someone's entertained, if this is the type of like content that someone likes, I don't want to take that away from anyone. And I damn sure don't want to take jobs away from people that are benefiting from that.
Yeah.
But I also think it does a disservice to like people that think that that's sex. They don't.
Right. Sure.
There are people who don't understand that that's not. Please don't plow me like that.
Sure. Well, there are conversations to be had, particularly about teenagers who are engaging with porn at younger and younger ages in a lot of ways, and the somehow we seem to be going backwards in sex education in so many ways. I mean, there are a lot of conversations to be had
in America
here, and well,
there really are. We could literally talk all day about this stuff.
I mean, no question. And there are, it pains me to interrupt the two of you discussing all of this, because these are so many industry questions and ethical questions that frankly are what I think about when I stare at the ceiling late at night. So maybe that's because I'm a boring person. Maybe it's because this is a fascinating conversation that I hate to interrupt. But in either case, we're going to get into a little bit more about the ethics of porn here in just a moment.